Hello once again, my dear students. Welcome once again in the science lecture. This is Rohan sir from Mahdi English Medium School. I welcome all my dear third standard little champs once again after the two test papers in the science lecture. So, like I said, revision 2 tests were taken, and yes, you all might be happy to give the test because yes, I have seen many test papers that 80 to 90% of the students have scored 80 to 90% of the scores, which is really very good. You know why did I say really very good? Because you are not knowing that sir is going to send you the test paper, but still those who sent me test paper on the same day with 80 to 90% of the scores, I really appreciate them because they were really watching the lectures. Only then they were solving the answers very easily in the given time. Time is also precious. Yes, the time when you send me the test, immediately I come to know that whether you have solved it on your own, you have taken help of anyone or not, and many more things. So I really appreciate third standard kids, boys and girls both. Anyways, now you might be thinking that what are we going to do? What is the concept of today's lecture? So I will not ask you to wait for a long time. We are going to have the revision, discussion and understanding of the concept of chapter 12, which is air, water and weather. Yes, the chapter we have already done, air, water and weather. But you know, always it happens like teachers take the test, revision test, chapter wise or all together. But here I thought let's give you the revision explanation. But this explanation will not only include our normal textual concept but also the other textbook related to the same concept I have with me. That material is also included in today's lecture. So you are really going to have a good lecture here. Please make sure you have to utilize it at its full extent. Now, explanation or discussion can only happen when your attention, your concentration is here, when you are involved in the class, right? When you are involved in the lecture. You are not sitting in the live class, you are sitting in the just to watch the video lecture. But if my tone is as I am delivering you the lecture, the speech as directly I am talking to you, so please make sure from your side also you pick it up as much as you can. And what is your profit, right? You might be thinking that, oh, if I watch this lecture there is nothing to be happen. But what is your profit? No one does anything without profit. Come on, this is very practical thing. So your profit is if you watch the lectures, the explanation lectures carefully, later you get the profit. You don't have to learn at least the objectives. You know why? Because while explanation I display the textual pages, I explain them, I read them again and again. That means your reading is happening, your explanation is happening, you are understanding the concept. Later, if I ask you the question related to that concept with the options given, can't you answer? You can easily answer then. So this is what your profit is. So you have the advantage of understanding the concept again. For some or the other reason, if you have missed, this is a golden opportunity for you. Let us get started. What do you have to take out? Just you have to open your eyes, big eyes on the screen, your ears here and nothing else. So let's get started. So students, this was the first page of the textbook of chapter number 12, air, water and weather. While I was explaining you for the first time, we even discussed each of these words. Now I don't have to discuss what is air, what is water, what is weather. You all know better, right? Air, water and weather. What are you going to learn? You're going to learn the detailed understanding, effects and what changes happens and many more things related to these three concepts of air, water and weather. See, these three things are really very, very important for us. Without air, water, weather, human beings' existence on the earth is very difficult or next to impossible, we can say. Here you can see in the picture, a kid is holding umbrella. Actually, two kids are there. One is at the back side, if you can see. So, why are they holding the umbrella like this? Can you see their faces? It looks very difficult for them to hold umbrella. Why so? So, can you see rain water falling down? Can you see the leaves are floating all around in the air? It seems like there is a heavy wind over there. Can't you see? That even the boy is holding the umbrella, he has to hold it with both the hands so that it does not fly away from him. This shows air, and the rainwater, you can see it is a water, and the weather is stormy. So this is what we are going to understand: air, water and weather. Let's get started. Let me display one different page which is not there in the textbook. So here you can see, students, I have displayed one page on the textbook. The page has different concepts, as you can see, written with the red writing or with the red colored letters. So let's start reading and understanding, or I should say let's start reading and revising it. Weather. Now this word might be new for you, or this word you might not be able to remember, but now you will be able to. Let's see. The condition of the atmosphere at a particular time is referred to as the weather. Atmosphere is the blanket of air or gases surrounding the earth. See, the words used here are very easy and very easy for you to understand it. You can easily keep that concept in your mind if you read this. On a particular day, the weather can be bright and sunny. It can get breezy or windy the very next day. And the third day may bring dark clouds and rain. So we can say that weather changes quickly. It may change even during a single day. For example, a day may start with a heavy rainfall but turn sunny towards afternoon. So these changes you might have seen in your town as well. Sometimes when you see in the morning, the weather is cloudy. Now as the day passes on, you see that in the afternoon it's just very sunny. Again during the night you can see that it's cloudy and it's raining. So these changes are there in the weather. So the certain condition of atmosphere around us is referred to as the weather. Now the next concept is water affects weather. See, this concept was not there in the textbook. Water affects the weather. How it affects the weather? Let us see. Let us read it. Water vapor is an important gas in the atmosphere. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in air. And the amount of water vapor in the air affects the weather of a place. So students, water vapor. Do you know what water vapor is? Yes, you all might be knowing, because even in chapter number 5, solid, liquid and gases, this word was included, water vapor. So when you keep the water in a pan or in any container and you keep it on the gas on the stove, when you boil it, the water slowly changes into the vapor. The smoke comes out of that bowl or any container in which the water is there. Slowly the smoke comes out. That is called vapor. That is called water vapor. When the water changes into the vapor, into the gas, it is known as a water vapor. So here it is very well written that water vapor is important gas in atmosphere. So humidity is the amount of the water vapor in the air. Sometimes you say, it's very humid climate. So what is humidity? Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. And the amount of water vapor in the air affects the weather of the place. So where there is more humidity, less humidity, the weather is changed. There the change can be noticed in the weather. So water vapor has a big effect or affects in a big way to the weather around us. The clouds in the sky are largely made up of water vapors. The condensation of these vapors into droplets brings rain and snow. Now, to understand this, we need to understand the water cycle. Now, whatever is written here, that the water vapor goes up and condensation happens. Condensation means vapor converts into the water drops, and then it forms in the form of rain and snow. It falls down. So, to understand this concept easily, we need to deeply and clearly understand the concept of water cycle, yes, which I have explained you, but here is a better labeled diagram of the water cycle, and I am pretty sure that once if you pay attention here and if you want to understand it, no one can stop you to do so, and you will never forget this concept again. So I hope that I am having your kind attention here on the screen, where the topic of water cycle with a proper diagram is given. So let us understand this. The water cycle is the process through which water moves all around the earth. See, this line says it all. Water cycle is a process through which water moves all around the earth. Here is how the process occurs. First, let us understand one by one. There are the different steps written here to understand this concept. Evaporation is the first step written here. Now, when the sun heats up water in the water bodies, such as rivers, lakes, and oceans, the water turns into the vapor or steam. See, I gave you the example of container in which water is filled up, and when you keep that container on fire, on stove, the container heats up, slowly the water within the container heats up too, and the vapor is formed. That means the smoke comes out. If you have observed any time when your mom, either she is preparing a tea for you, a cup of tea or coffee, or if she is boiling the water for you, especially during this pandemic when you were at your home, still you are at your home, but when there was a total lockdown, your mom might be giving you the boiled water to gargle or to drink, adding turmeric and different things into it. So when she heats the water, when she boils the water, or when she is preparing the tea, you might have observed that the smoke comes out, right? Why does it happen? That is called water vapor. That when you heat the water at certain level, the vapor comes out. Similar thing happens. Now, can you heat full ocean? That is not in your or my hand. Neither can you nor can I heat full ocean together. We are not so much capable, right? We can just heat certain liters or limited amount of water. But now sun has that energy. Sun heats up the water in the water bodies altogether from the rivers, lakes and oceans. So what happens? The water turns into the vapor. Same like the water turns into vapor from the container which is on the stove, which is on the gas. Same thing happens with the water bodies here. For us, that stove is the fire which converts the water into water vapor. For the big water bodies, sun is that fire which converts the water into the water vapor. So the water vapor or steam leaves the water body and goes into the air. So slowly here, the water here leaves the water and it turns into the smoke and goes up in the sky in the form of smoke. That is called the process of evaporation. I hope evaporation process is again revised and very well clear. Let us understand condensation again. What is condensation? Now water has already gone up in the form of vapor. You know this. You can see these arrows. This shows that water turns into the vapor and goes up to form the clouds. See, clouds are formed. How the clouds are formed? This way, by water vapor. Condensation. Now water vapor in the air gets cooled down and changes back into the liquid, forming clouds. This is called condensation. It is just opposite to the process of evaporation. In evaporation, water, when heated up, goes up in the form of vapor. What is condensation? Condensation, when the vapor which has gone up cools down, come back and forms the cloud. See, evaporation, condensation, we can say opposite words are there. Like we say black and white, easy, hard. So these are the opposite words. Similarly, you can remember these two things as the opposites because their definitions are opposite to each other. Now I hope evaporation, condensation is clear. So students, here one activity is given which you can do at your home. What is the activity? Let us just read it. First of all, what is the objective? What will you understand? What will you learn from this activity is you will learn and you can observe the process of condensation. How? Let us see what the steps are. First, you have to pour the glass of cold water, very cold water, on a hot day and watch what happens. So you can observe that water droplets appears on the glass's outer surface. When you keep the glass, especially the glass which is transparent, when you keep that in the normal room temperature out, and when you pour very cold chilled water inside it, within few moments you can observe that there are the water droplets on the outer surface of the glass. Inside the water is there, but outside also you can observe that the water is there. This might happen with you or might have happened with you. See, this might happen with you or might have happened with you. When you used to come to school in the summer season, you were bringing cold chilled water bottle, right? But slowly that water which is inside and the water cap is also packed. But you might have observed that water drops are there outside, and the bag where you have kept the bottle, that surface gets wet. Why is it so? Is there any leakage in the water bottle? No, you will say no sir. Might be there, but then is there any leakage in the glass? No, not everywhere. But this is how the condensation process works. So water vapor in the warm air turns back into the liquid when it touches the cold glass. So I hope that this concept is clear now, what is evaporation and what is condensation. So how the rainfall happens, we will learn now. Precipitation. Let us see what is this process and what happens with this process of precipitation. Now it occurs when a lot of water gets condensed and stored in the clouds, in the form of clouds. And as a result, the air cannot hold it for a long time anymore. See, clouds are there. Then the dark clouds happen, which are very heavy because they are filled with the water. So air cannot hold the water for the long time. So what happens as a result? The clouds get very heavy and water falls back to the earth in the form of either rain or snow. So when rain happens, it happens that at some places around that place, some places the climate is very, very cold and the winter season is there. So there the water stored up in the clouds are freezed in the form of snow and falls down in the form of snow or snowflakes. So this is what precipitation process is. I hope again that is also pretty clear in your mind. Let us see what collection is. So when the water falls back to the earth as precipitation, it may fall back into the water bodies. So some of the water ends up on the land and gets soaked to form the groundwater. So it is not necessary that waterfall will only happen above the ocean. It can happen on the land, on the mountains, anywhere. So this is what the collection is. Collection of the water, rainwater, can happen in the different ways. People in the olden times, they used to collect the water, the rainwater, in the form of underground water by arranging the proper pipelines and the storage areas underground. So I hope concept of evaporation, condensation, precipitation and collection is pretty clear in your mind. So now, as you can see in the picture, this is the sun, which helps the water to get evaporated and come up in the form of smoke. These are the clouds formed when condensation happens. Smoke coming up again turns back into the form of water drops, forms the clouds. When the clouds gets too heavy to hold the water, it brings the rain like this. At some places it brings the snow, and then it comes down in the form of precipitation. And you can see that somewhere the groundwater storage is there, somewhere in the water bodies again the water comes back and fills up the water bodies, or I should use the word refills it. So this was what the water cycle was. See, the cycle is formed, a round cycle is formed. From this to that step, from that to again this step, and again water collection again come up. So this cycle goes on again and again. That's why it is called water cycle. So I hope that now this thing is pretty clear. Okay, so you can see here again I have displayed one other page at the top of your textbook, which gives you extra knowledge. Here one keyword, extra keyword is given, weather forecasting. Have you heard weather forecasting? Some of you might be saying no, not at all. Some of you might be saying yes sir, obviously we have heard, but we don't remember what exactly it is. See, you might have heard either in the radios or in the news channels or in your mobile phones of your parents, weather forecasting. What is that? Weather forecasting is the prediction of what the weather will be like in an hour, tomorrow or next week. Today weather forecasting involves a combination of computer models and observations as well. Previously it was only based on observations, as the computers and the technologies were not so developed in the olden times. So basically you know that weather forecasting tells you about what the weather will be in the next week or next day or night, in the future, in short, in the future tense. So that is what weather forecasting is. It casts the weather, it tells you how the weather will be, so that you can be alert, you can be well prepared in advance according to the plans. And nowadays you can see that weather forecasting application is even there in your mobile phones. How many of you are using the mobile phones? I know 99% of the students might be having Android mobile phones. They might be knowing that the weather forecasting is there. You can see that application is very easy to use. For each city, different level of weather forecasting is already made if you open that application. Especially in the iPhones, the weather forecasting is there. You can search any city, any country, and immediately it gives the detail about the weather of that particular country or city. So it is too easy nowadays, it's too handy, everything is too much easy because of the technology. Now let us see the last concept for today, how air affects the weather. We saw that how water affects the weather. Now let's see how air affects the weather. Air is all around us, this is what we know. Though we cannot see air, we can feel it. It's cold air, it's hot air, it's very breezy, it's windy. We can feel the air in the different ways, right? We cannot see that. Moving air is called wind. This is also what you know and what was given in your textbook. Weather gets affected by the direction of the wind, north, south, east and west. It also gets affected by wind force, gentle, moderate or very strong. These are the different level of forces made by the air. It might be very gentle, so you can sit in the garden, you can enjoy the day. It might be moderate, so that you will not like, because the dust comes up in the air and it goes into the eyes. It might be very strong in the form of storm. So this might happen. Gentle wind is referred to as a breeze. Remember, this is very important, and causes a soothing and pleasant weather. Stormy weather is caused by the strong winds. This is what you already know. This is what I already said, that sometimes when it is windy, when the climate is very breezy, you like to go in the garden places, you like to sit in the natural places, you like to spend your time at those places. And sometimes when it's stormy, the air blows very fast. It is like very strong wind. You need to take in your clothes, you need to close your doors, and these all precautions you take. So I hope that this concept is clear in your mind, that how air affects the weather. At different places again, the weather is different. It might be stormy now here, might not be in Mahua or somewhere else in the other town, for an example. So now with this, students, I end my today's lecture. Yes, in the next lecture we will complete the revision explanation of this chapter using not only the textbook but also different materials, as I did today in this lecture. I hope you enjoyed well and you have revised many more topics. With this, I end my today's lecture. Have a nice day.